All right, this might be one of the strangest media stories of the week. Tucker Carlson just claimed that his private messages may have been read, and that he could be under investigation for conversations linked to Iran. Yeah, you heard that right. Now the internet immediately started asking the obvious question. What exactly is going on here? So naturally, Asmongold decided to watch Tucker's explanation, and his reaction is honestly priceless. There's confusion, a little disbelief, and at one point he basically goes, "Wait, what?" So let's watch the moment. Asmongold breaks this whole situation down, and by the end, you can decide for yourself whether this story is serious, ridiculous, or somehow both at the same time. Let's get into it.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war.
Talking to people in Iran before the war. Uh-oh. Who are the people? What were you talking about? Now, I hear that, and I don't know, man. My common sense is tingling, and it's telling me that the reason why you're using these abstract terms and you're not being specific is exactly the reason that you're not using them. It's the exact reason that you imagine. So I don't know. Like, I'm obviously everybody. Like, I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm not saying he's guilty. But the way that you say that, like, I just makes me a little bit nervous, doesn't it?
They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the foreign...
So if they read your text messages, let me just take a step back. Assuming that this wasn't done extrajudicially, that would mean that they got a warrant for that, and they had there's a data request that was approved by a judge, I believe. Now, I don't know if Homeland Security can bypass that. They probably can. But my understanding is that in order to read somebody's messages, you needed to have some sort of approval for it. But there's a good chance that the Patriot Act probably just says, no, actually, you can do whatever you want. So I'm not sure.
An agent act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power.
Acting like an agent of a foreign power, and in this case, it's Iran? Wow.
And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids.
Uh-oh. I don't know.
So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody.
He's never taken money from anybody? Okay. Don't
need it, don't want it. And that's...
I mean, like, the thing is that Tucker Carlson is the inheritor of the Swanson family, right? So realistically, like, this is like a multi-billion-dollar company. So, because he married into it, like, I think his wife is like, from the Swanson family. So, like, realistically, he's actually right about this. Like, he should be, like, ridiculously rich. Like, insanely, like, hundreds of millions of dollars rich. If not billions.
It's provable.
No, his stepmom? His stepmom, okay.
Moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that. Nor should I. I don't think.
I can think.
I'm also an American.
I think.
I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying.
Sure. This is true.
The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent. in the homeland.
Yeah.
The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by...
I think everybody knows that, of course.
Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy like that.
So if I am the person that thinks that he's guilty, this doesn't read very well. And let me explain the reason why. He's trying to use generalities to make people assume a conclusion that's specific to him. So, like, and this is even what he did at the beginning, right? Where he's talking about, this is, talking to people. I'm talking to people before the war. And so I don't know really, it's like, it's extremely bad. Yeah, it reads extremely badly. Exactly. Like, I mean, again, I want to make this very, very clear. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm not saying he leaked information to Iran. But if I just watched this and I watched it with a discerning eye, it would seem suspicious. That's it. It just seems suspicious. Wonder why the CIA would want to discredit him? But it's not the CIA that's trying to discredit him right now. It's him that's bringing this up himself. So the probability is, like, you could be like, okay, yeah, sure, like the CIA is doing this, but why would you do this? Like, so from his perspective, he would probably be doing this. If I assume intent, he's doing this in order to basically create the narrative ahead of time of what's going on. So that way people will look at the generalities rather than the specifics. He's trying to get ahead of it, basically. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, but it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency.
Sure.
What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel. And
they're mad at you for your views about Israel. This is another type of thing. So this is the type of comment that I get a lot. Why did you start shilling for Big Brother? You understand that the accusation is that he's just simply shilling for another brother? That's the accusation here. Like, this isn't like this isn't like a person, like, obviously Tucker Carlson can have whatever opinions that he wants, but don't you find this to be problematic? I don't even understand this. You really think Tucker would? I don't know what he would do. I don't know enough about Tucker Carlson to be sure of it. But I know that if they're going through his text messages, that might seem like something's problematic. And especially whenever he's saying it about talking to people in Iran. Like, I'm sorry, but like, when I hear because I was talking to people in Iran, that sounds like I was talking to people in the government in Iran. That's what he's really saying. Like, what do you think the probability is that the people that he's referencing to, that he's speaking to in Iran, are government officials? It's like 99%, I feel. Is that a crime? Well, that's what they're looking into it for, obviously. But he's a journalist. CNN talks to Iran, Fox News too. Yeah, so then why are they looking into him? Whenever CNN and Fox News are also critical of the Iran war. It's interesting. I wonder what was different. There's a lot of people in CNN that are critical of Israel.
They have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans.
Yeah.
So that is an absolutely real thing. But the main reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's, of course, happened to me
That's
repeatedly.
You. Yeah.
Many times. Including in famously 2021 when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin. And the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen and had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state. And they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying on me. This is not a fantasy. It actually happened.
Sure.
They did it again 2 years later. My second attempt to get a Putin interview, I managed to get it anyway, and they've done it since. And so when you get a call from a reporter who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on.
Yeah, clearly. Obviously.
None of this, in my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me, so I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are, and you should know.
I'm going to be, maybe this is like a crazy thing for me to say, but with a high profile figure that's spoken with the president and has like been in the White House, that's also talking to and interacting with the Iranian government, I want the government to keep a closer eye on that person. I think that's extremely reasonable, especially with so much intelligence and things like that. It's very reasonable. Like, what are we talking about? Duh. Of course.
Know that a lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not.
But that kind of access, it's unreasonable?
Now. Yeah. But it has an effect. And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent, hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like there are decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV.
Somebody brought up a good point. That's how Epstein manifested, is that they didn't look into it. Or like they ignored it.
But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have, granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws, to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate.
Sure.
And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So
and he's implying that it might happen to him.
Know that going forward. Thanks.
Well, again, I don't want to say I think he's guilty, because I think that's kind of unfair to say, like, I think he's guilty. But the way that he's framing this is very suspicious. And it makes it hard for me to trust him. It does. I'll tell you this. I don't immediately trust Tucker Carlson that he acted in good faith. I'm not saying that he's a bad guy. I'm not saying there's anything that he did wrong, but I am saying that, like, you know, with how close he was with the president, the fact that he was at the White House, the fact that he was involved at, and also talking to, you know, potentially members of the Iranian government, I can see why the CIA would want to look into that. And nobody really knows why this is happening, but I don't immediately trust Daddy government. Yeah, but why would you trust Daddy Tucker Carlson either? Like, the thing is that, like, everybody doesn't want to trust the government, but you're assuming that this random person that's a media personality is somehow completely infallible. No, you should really be more logical about this and think about it yourself. Like, I don't think that it's outside of the realm of possibility that Tucker Carlson could have leaked something. I don't think that's impossible for that to have happened. Now, do I think it's likely? I mean, probably not. Like, I think this is probably going to go nowhere. You know, I'm a nothing's ever happened, Chud, right? I've said this many times. Like, it probably is going to go nowhere, but it's something that's worth considering. So anyway, what is this here if I pull a few more of these comments here? And Zero Repercussions entitled Nonsensical Gas. Yeah. So for years, I served as chairman of the Board of Christian Ministry when I was one of the most viral underground church movements in Iran. Iran has been under U.S. sanctions for years, which means that getting any funds into Iran from any form is severely restricted. stated, if it is not done in strict compliance with the law, board members are liable for federal crimes and can easily face up to federal prison for the rest of their lives. It's very serious stuff. For Tucker Carlson to say that he's an American journalist who can do anything he wants and talk to anyone he wants with zero repercussions is the epitome of entitled, nonsensical gaslighting. Journalists know that there are laws that they must all abide by. Everyone has to obey the law, even the rich, naughty, entitled men with names like Tucker or Bentley. And if he's found to be guilty for crimes against the United States, and I truly hope the proper justice is served. We'll see what happens, right? Here's what appears to happen. Oh, there's a second video. Let me see.
Sure.
Oh, this is the first one. Let me see this one here.
Now that wasn't a risk from the Israeli standpoint.
This is a second video. I don't know what the context of this is. That's why I'm watching it.
Point. That was the point. They wanted to diminish the Gulf, and in 2 days they have. And I think anyone...
Lol, First Amendment unless he leaked? I mean, isn't that what everybody thinks? Like, I feel like we all agree on that, right? Like, lol, First Amendment unless he leaks something confidential? Like, that's my opinion. You're right. That's actually, that is my viewpoint. Like, yeah. If he leaks something, I mean, duh, yeah, of course. Isn't that how it works? Yeah, of course it should be.
Who likes decency and order and cleanliness is hoping that the Gulf will recover. The Gulf is not a threat to us. We have military bases in these countries. These are some of our closest allies. All of them are closer allies than Israel, by far. They're our friends, but they've been really hurt. And in a place like Dubai, which is basically it's part of a country, it's an emirate.
Dubai is Agartha for the Middle East.
Within the United Arab Emirates, but it's also it's a luxury brand, basically. People go to Dubai because it's beautiful and rich and clean, and above all, because it's safe and orderly.
It is. What?
It's got the busiest airport in the world. You start seeing video on Instagram of smoke in the Dubai airport, and you're like, I think I'm going to Cabo this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sorry, drug cartels. Whatever. Maybe you go to Sedona this year. It really, really hurts these countries, and Israel wanted to hurt these countries. That's the point.
Israel did. I thought Iran bombed them.
Countries wanted to sow chaos and disorder because they are rivals of Israel. So it's probably not hasn't been reported, but it's a fact. Last night in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, authorities arrested Mossad agents planning on committing bombings in those countries. Now,
didn't Qatar come out and refute this? I thought they did. Like, or it was like some other country that like came out and refuted this and said that they were actually Iranian.
That's weird. It doesn't make any sense. Why would these...
They did. They said it was with Iran. Yeah, so this turned out to not be true, and he even got corrected by the government of that country.
Israelis be committing bombings in two Gulf countries, which are also being attacked by Iran. Aren't they on the same side?
And also, like, that's another logical jump, right? Where, like, you're going from the Israeli spies being there to the Israelis did the bombing. Like, obviously, like, you can make that assumption, but, like, that is a logical jump that needs evidence that was not presented there. It was just a guess.
No. No. Israel wants to hurt Iran and Qatar and UAE and Saudi and Bahrain and Oman and Kuwait. And they've succeeded.
Man, that's crazy, isn't it? And I don't even know what to say. And Tucker's a spy for Iran. I don't know if he is or not. I really don't. But I think that there's something that's very suspicious here. Anyway, here's what appears to be happening. And again, this is very, very leading, right? Former IDF sergeant, okay? So just keep that in mind. Tucker Carlson has allegedly been conducting his own foreign policy with Iran on behalf of the United States. At some point, the CIA got wind of this and informed President Trump, who may have used Tucker as an unwitting counterintelligence asset to feed faulty information to Iran. Following the launch of Epic Fury, Tucker's traitorous behavior may have finally caught up with them, and as the DOJ reportedly prepares a criminal complaint against them based on CIA intelligence. So, bonus, an example of Tucker likely parroting Iranian regime propaganda. So, there's another one here. Tuck may have just pulled, this is it. So, there's a chance that if the CIA knew that he was talking to the Iranians, then President Trump would have known that also, when he invited Tucker into the Oval Office just a few days before the strike, which means that Trump may have used Tucker to deceive the Iranians about the likelihood of an impending I wonder if that's true. Oh my God. Wow. Trump's not smart enough for that? Are you still one of those people that thinks that he's stupid? So this big orange bumble retard just seems to win every single outcome that he gets involved with, right? He's dumb as fuck. He is not dumb. This guy is not dumb. You're wrong about Trump. I think that this is my outlook, okay? The amount of positive outcomes Trump has created for himself, I don't think is a coincidence. I think it's because he's obviously very intelligent and competent. I think that's exactly what's going on. And I think people that don't believe that are coping. And they are coping hardcore. Massively coping. And he might be smart. Yeah, he's a dumb, smart president. Just because he talks like a certain way or anything else, it's easy to win the president. Being the wealthiest country, look at the EU backing now. You should have videos of France warships yesterday. Well, that's good, right? I mean, obviously you want to have France come help. Like I think that's a good thing. I mean, I would say it's a good thing. But anyway, we will look at the rest of these too, because it's just been. I think this is going to continue, right? A little bit more. Trump falls into the victory every single time. Yeah, like it's crazy that like this guy who's like just so stupid just accidentally became a billionaire and won the presidential election 2 times, and was able to like capture Maduro, and we did all this other stuff, and yeah, I think it's just I'm sure these are all just a huge line of coincidences, right? And 3 times. Sorry, brother. I forgot we can say that now. Yeah, 3 times. So true. Anyway, Trump, they might have used Trump to deceive. On January 17th, I called a friend of mine at the White House to express concerns about Tucker Carlson visiting the Oval Office. She answered rather cryptically, just trust the plan. Little did I know the plan meant we know Tucker speaking to the Iranians, so we're using him as a useful idiot to bait the Ayatollah and kill off the IRGC leadership. Oh, and then we'll arrest him for espionage when this is all over. I don't believe that, man. I don't. I think that is like, again, that is like a very, very high level of operation. I don't know if that's true or not. Secretly communicating with the enemy of the United States during an active war conflict makes you a traitor in my book. It depends on what you're communicating, in my opinion. But yeah. And oh, here we go. Here's one more image of it, or one more instance of it. Why is my audio always broken? I don't know what's caused this to happen.
Tucker Carlson might be going to prison. I have some reported information that dives a little deeper on Tucker's contact with IRGC personnel, how President Trump used this to take out Khomeini and surprise the IRGC. So as many of you have seen, Tucker had this to say on his show.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war.
Talking to who in Iran, Tucker? Because people don't get arrested for talking to people in Iran. In fact, many Americans talk with people in Iran, family, friends, etc. That is, when they are able to, around the times the IRGC cuts off the internet and services.
That's right.
You seem to figure it out.
Yes.
That is, you are speaking with people in the IRGC. About what? We may have that information, and this will reportedly all be released in these next coming days or so.
They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that.
No, they didn't read your text, Tucker. They were actually monitoring the calls and messages of our enemies, the same ones plotting against us and screaming consistently, "Death to America." Do you remember Robert Hansen, the FBI counterintelligence agent who secretly spied for the Soviet Union and later Russia for over 20 years until...
What happened to him?
2001? He was arrested not because the U.S. was monitoring Hansen at first, but because they discovered him by analyzing information coming from Russian intelligence files.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Same thing.
I could see that.
If this information is reportedly true, President Trump knew about Tucker's traitorous betrayal of the United States and gave him false information, like he had no intention of attacking Iran. This explains the increasing amount of appearances Tucker had to the White House leading up to Operation Epic Fury. Tucker would then pass that information on to our adversaries.
So people think that they were inviting Tucker to the White House regularly so they could use him as a disinformation agent?
which gave the IRGC a false sense of security. This would include opening up Khamenei to an airstrike along with countless other IRGC leaders who are all now dead. So don't believe Tucker watering down what is happening with this investigation in his video, where he seems extremely nervous, shaken, and uncomfortable. Use a little bit of sense. You don't get in trouble and accused of being a foreign agent charged under the Foreign Agents Registration Act of 1938 simply for just speaking to Iranians.
Yeah, I've spoken to Iranians.
You know that, and Tucker supporters
Everybody
deep down
knows that.
know that as well.
Yeah.
We shall see how this plays out over the next
You know what
days,
I know, everybody
but
knows
if
it.
it is even halfway true what is being reported, and what I have on good measure will be released soon, then he is, to put it lightly, fucked.
Oh, wow. I guess we'll have to see what happens. Do you think the U.S. made a mistake? Well, I don't know. And Anson, the guy sold a lot of CIA agents to the KGB? Maybe. Do you think the U.S. made a mistake in not securing the Strait of Hormuz before they started this war, considering how Iran controlling that place is now choking the world's oil supply? I think that they probably did what they could. Obviously, controlling the Strait of Hormuz is do you really think that they didn't think about that? I mean, obviously, they've thought about this. I mean, duh, of course. So we're going to have to wait and find out.
That's all for now. But don't let this story slip away, because things are just getting started. I'll be tracking this investigation closely, bringing you every shocking update the moment it happens. If you want to stay ahead of everyone else and know the truth as it unfolds, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Seriously, you don't want to miss what's coming next. And hey, I want to hear your take. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your theories. Let's get the conversation going. I will personally reply to as many of your comments and theories as possible as I can, as this is far from over. And I'll be here keeping you updated every step of the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the very next update. Stay tuned.